Hello, dear chess friends. Welcome to the next episode of Late Friday Night's Banter Blitz. So, as usual, today I will start with a few games with newcomers. And very important information for newcomers, by the way, that I play usually 5-minute games. So I don't accept challenges of 3 minutes or something like that. So if you challenge me with 3 minutes, please make a new challenge. So here we go. Let's have a look. As far as I understand, the first challenger that I actually never played before with 5 minutes is Klosterfrau. Let's do it. I accept the challenge. And the first game with black pieces. All right, let's do it. E4, E5. So, C3. All right, so as far as I remember, D5 is just a guy here. D5 is just a guy. But I don't remember the theory, to be honest. So only move number 3, I'm already surprised a bit. So D5 is a normal continuation, but let's play knight f6. It should be also not that bad. I hope. Can be already not that cool. So my opponent plays very, very fast, which is probably already a problem for me, because maybe I did something wrong. Anyways, let's try to save this game. CD4, so white already has something to be proud of, good pawn center. So I definitely have to undermine it somehow, but first I think it won't be that bad idea to start with the bishop b4 check. Because white will probably play something like bishop d2, and I'm actually not against to exchange these bishops. Now let's castle. And then something like d6 should be played, I guess. But after bishop d3, maybe knight b4 also makes sense, just to challenge the bishop to see where it goes. Bishop h7 is not a threat, I think. So king takes h7, there is no proper follow-up, I guess. So let's try knight b4. Because if I grab this bishop, I will be happy. If bishop goes to e4, then I will have d5 with the tempo. So I have a feeling that knight c3 instead of bishop d3 was a bit better, just to have the b1 square for the bishop in case of this knight b4. Knight c3 was also a good developing move, just attacking the knight on d5 and so on. Okay. Knight c3, now I'll take this bishop. It was sort of key piece here. So the main attacking piece, the most dangerous piece. And now I think it is the best time to undermine the center, so d6. There is a direct threat, by the way, just to grab the pawn. So white has to make a decision. Castles? Oh really? So d takes e5, d5 or what? Well, then I will have the time to protect the pawn. I mean, the queen on d3 is hanging. That is white's problem. So now I can simply protect the pawn e5 somehow. What is the best protection? Rook e8? Rook e8 looks good. f6 is also a move, I guess. But then queen c4 might be annoying. Might be not that annoying, I don't know. Queen d6 is not that cool. Alright, bishop g4 is also an interesting decision. Just to exchange this knight that attacks e5. Yeah, I'll try bishop g4. Let's do it. Develop a move, right? And I want to just grab the knight and then occupy d4 with my knight. Yeah, looks fine. Have an extra pawn and so on. Now after rook d1 I can consider even knight d4 immediately, but after knight takes e5, bishop d1, rook d1, my knight on d4 has no moves. So it's better to start with this, I think. And now, to play knight e4 or not to play. If I play knight d4, then after queen e4 attacking e5, there might be a problem with my knight on d4. So after I protect e5, there will be f4, undermining e5, and so on. So maybe it's better for me just to play knight e7, and then to put my knight on g6. This looks a safer option. All right. Knight g6. That is exactly what I wanted to do. So protecting e5 and getting closer to the king side where I have the pawn majority. d6. Okay, so after I take on d6, queen takes on b7. Let's do it. I guess rook b8 deserves attention now. Just attacking the queen and pawn on b2. Let's try it. Quite an active move. So queen takes a7, I take on b2. Looks fine. So I still have an extra pawn. But knight came to d5, yes. This might be a problem. Or maybe not. So what about queen a8 now? Attacking the queen and then trying to activate both rooks along the second rank. Looks not that bad. So queen takes, rook takes, then my rook attacks a2. a2 is already under attack. So what my opponent is going to do? Knight e7 deserves attention. But then I take on e7, queen e7, and queen takes a2, attacking f2 already. My heavy pieces become very dangerous. And after queen c7, I can do the same, I think. What is the point? Not quite sure. Let's take f2 is hanging. So there is only 1 minute on the clock. I have to be faster. So d6 is hanging. What about just, I don't know, queen a6. Protecting it. So now I have 2 extra pawns. That is important. Knight e7 takes. And d6 is hanging again. So let's protect it with this rook. I have some problems with the back rank at the moment. Let's try to solve it. I definitely need some activation now. I have no time. Yeah. I won on time. Yeah, I was quite lucky in this game, really. Because actually I somehow missed the moment where I could have played better. I mean, in the sense of conversion of my extra material, and my opponent just played very solid, very decent chess. And I was really lucky because I had the time disadvantage. Well, very nice for the start. That was really challenging. So the main mistake was actually when I played d6, right? So I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that my opponent simply blundered the fact that queen on d3 is not protected because the pawn on e5 is hanging. On the other hand, it is already not that simple to make a good decision, because if white takes on d6, first of all, I have no problems even if I take on d6 simply with a queen. Also, there is a possibility to consider this intermediate check, which also causes some problems to white's pieces placement. But I still think that it was better to try this e takes d6, or at least to go away with the queen somewhere to protect the pawn on e5, maybe on e2. So positions should be more or less equal, I think. So after I grabbed the e5 pawn, it was already much better for black. And in the beginning, of course, white had some edge, because I chose not the best line, not the best variation. So after this, bishop b4. Well, first of all, knight to d2 deserves serious attention here, I think. Then intending to play a3, I'm not sure that black has a good choice after that. But even bishop d2 is alright. Bishop takes, queen takes, castle. So here, knight c3 deserved attention instead of bishop to d3. Or maybe to start with, let's say, bishop to c4, attacking my knight, and after knight goes away somewhere, to put the bishop on d3 if there is a desire to have the bishop on this diagonal. But still, I already have some counterplay connected with d6. So my opinion is that knight to d2 is the best way here to play. I'm not sure, but a3 is kind of nasty threat, just forcing the bishop away, and my knight is still vulnerable on d5 and so on. So white should be slightly better. Okay, let's go further. So the next newcomer is who? Victor PD16, Spain. Never played, 5 minutes, premium user. Let's go. Oh. White pieces. All right, let's try e4. Let us avoid the Petrov defense and try the Scotch. At the moment, everything is according to the theory. Queen e7. Okay, so let's see. Let's try this endgame. Not quite sure if it gives white anything, but let us just try. There is also room for some experiments. So to take with the king or to take with the bishop. Let's take with the bishop. There are a lot of pieces on the board still, so I think it will be better for me just to make castling. Knight takes d5. I somehow missed this move, so I blunder a lot today. That is a good sign for my opponents. Knight takes c3. Let us take with the pawn just to win the tempo. Yeah. Pawn structure is absolutely symmetrical. So who will benefit from it? So let's attack c6. Where the bishop goes? To d7, presumably. Yes. Now what? Now I have a chance to occupy the b file, so let's try. Rook b1. Intending to play rook to b7 maybe. Okay, castling is also good for me. So now, what could be the plan? First of all, let us attack some vulnerable spots in the opponent's camp. It will be very hard to achieve anything here, honestly. So c5, now the bishop is free to move somewhere. Okay, so let's put this guy on d5 or what? Yeah, why not? Here it will occupy a much better position than on f3. And also it will prevent black from playing bishop e6, attacking my a2. So there are some points behind having the bishop here. But rook b6. Yeah. So to do the same, rook b3 looks strange. But what to do instead? Not quite sure. Have a feeling that I simply have nothing here in this position. So let's go away from that file. Position is absolutely even. Maybe it's a good idea to change my mind a bit and to try the central play. So the rook on b6 looks a bit misplaced at the moment. It occupies the b file, but I managed just to cover this file with the bishop. For a long time or not, well, I'm not sure. But at the moment, the b file is protected. So d file is also protected by the bishop d6. So maybe there will be the fight for the e file. Okay, h6, just making the king safe. Alright. Let us occupy the e file now. So do I have resources to fight for this file? I have no idea. Bishop c5 is an interesting try, by the way. Bishop c5, rook e1, rook e1, bishop c5, rook to e5. It looks a bit dangerous, but maybe it is the idea. Or rook d5 now. Let's try rook d5. Attacking the bishop and pawn c5 at the same time. Yeah, very hard. It's very hard to achieve anything. Bishop e4. And what about just bishop takes c5 now? The rook on the 8 is hanging, that is the idea. I do hope I didn't blunder anything. If rook b5, then bishop takes d6, the same problem. So the rook on the 8 is hanging. And if the rook goes to b8 now, I have rook to d4, counterattacking the bishop. Well, it'll be just a tiny advantage, but still something, right? Much better than to have nothing at all. Okay. And now there is a time trouble. The things go crazy now. Okay. I have a threat of f3 now, by the way. And c7 is hanging also. Yeah, now white is much better. Now white is much better. I can play f3 anyway. Rook g2, king g2, bishop f3, king f2, for example. If bishop f3, I just grab the rook on the 8. If bishop c6, I take on the 8, then rook takes c7. I have 2 extra pawns, yeah. And very comfortable position. Rook d6, what is that? It is nothing. Now, I should be winning somehow. All right, so actually everything was fine until this moment when I managed to come up with this sneaky bishop takes c5, right? I mean, everything was all right for black. So bishop e3, c5, bishop d5, rook b6, rook d1, bishop f5, bishop b3. Yeah, so maybe here, I don't know, h6 is all right, definitely. But maybe it was better just to overprotect the position a bit. Maybe to play bishop g6 just to avoid this rook d5 tactics. Maybe to put another rook to b8. Maybe just to come back with this rook from b6 to b8. Also interesting, because if I play rook d5 in this situation, black just has bishop to e6, and when the rook goes away somewhere, then c4, sorry, not rook c5 of course, but somewhere, I don't know, rook h5, then c4 is annoying. So rook d5 doesn't work when there is no tricks with the bishop c5. I think that was the mistake, because after rook e8, rook e1, while rook d5 appeared quite annoying move. So bishop e4, bishop c5. But here it was possible to do something like rook b8, just protecting the rook. My rook is still hanging, it's not that easy to go away and not to lose the bishop on c5. So I wanted to do something like rook d4. And here after bishop c5 to play this position with opposing colored bishops, but still with some tiny chances to win. And that was probably the best chance for black, I guess. Yep. So let's go further. One more game with the newcomer. Who's that? So all these guys I have already played. The king's best friend also played once. Lefty John also played. La Roca also played. Wow. Craig Evans we played, yeah, during the previous show. Artur Nawrowski from Poland we have never played. Okay, accept. Let's do it. And black pieces. Okay, so this game will be the last one against newcomers, and then we'll come back to the normal order of challenges. Here we go. Okay, let's try Sicilian. Let's try Sicilian. C4. So this means white wants to play Marozzi bind, right? Right. Let's see. Just developing the piece and attacking e4. Sometimes this position can arise from English opening. So there could be a transposition from the English opening as well. And bishop to d3 is quite typical, of course. But I'm not quite sure it is that great exactly here. So can I play just d5 right now? cd5, ed5, e5, knight e4 looks good. ed5, ed5, cd5 also looks good. d5, e5 immediately. I even have d takes c4 if I want. Okay, let's try d5. So if white plays e5 here, so there are two options. To take on c4 or to go away with the knight somewhere. Yep. So here, where to go? I think to e4. This looks very good. Of course I can lose the pawn after bishop e4 takes e4 and queen a4. But I think I will have a good compensation, so let's put the knight on e4. Good central position. Takes, so queen a4 definitely. And now there are two options: to play knight c6, simply completing the development and then playing against white's weakened light squares, or to play bishop d7, queen e4, bishop c6, with the same idea actually. So what is the good way of doing it? I think just a normal development should be alright. So knight c6. By the way, after queen takes e4, I have an interest to move knight to b4, immediately intending to occupy d3 square. Could be very, very annoying for white. There is also an interesting idea just to play g6 after queen e4 with the idea of bishop f5 and again occupying d3. So if I manage to blockade d2 pawn, I will definitely have a great compensation for a missing pawn. Maybe I will be even better. Don't know what to do, knight b4 or g6. G6 looks better a bit than knight b4 because in this case I just continue the development. Bishop e6 is also a decent move here. Let's try g6. So I want to play bishop f5. Looks very good. So where the queen goes? An interesting question. E2 is not possible, c4 as well, because of bishop d3. Queen to a4, but it doesn't look like a sensible square. Queen f4, okay. So now, I guess bishop e7 is a good idea. Just continuing the development, covering g5, covering f6 and still controlling d6. I have pair of bishops. I definitely have a slightly better pawn structure. So the only drawback in black's position is the material disadvantage, but I think I have a great compensation for it. So everything is fine. b3. Alright, so the bishop wants to occupy b2 square. What about knight b4 now? It looks like I have a normal development already. There will be a threat of knight c2 and knight d3 simultaneously. Looks just fine, because if I will have the knight on d3, I will be also satisfied. So bishop b2, then knight d3, or knight c2. Knight c2 also a nice idea, just to trap the rook on a1. Right? Right. And now it's time to make a castling, I guess. And what about knight d3? Isn't it a move that wins a piece on b2? I think so. So it was a blunder. Actually, the main idea behind knight b4 was exactly to prevent bishop b2. So this idea came to my mind once I understood the idea behind b3 move. So I wanted the move that prevents the bishop b2. And knight b4 was exactly this move. So now black's position is absolutely winning. Knight g5 isn't a threat, so let's just capture the bishop. Lost. So, actually, I had a great compensation for missing pawn, that's for sure. So I don't think that it is the best way of playing it with white. I'm in bishop d3 here, so I do believe it is much better to do the transposition to the English opening line, the normal one, I mean knight to c3. Here black usually plays knight to c6. And here it is possible, of course, to play bishop d3, but I think it is much better to play g3. So that is a better square for the bishop. So bishop goes to g2, and then white gradually tries to play d4. So if you want to play these positions with white pieces, just pay attention to games of top players. It is quite popular line. So Magnus Carlsen even played it once. So it's just a very, very good idea how to deal with this line from white's perspective. So g3, bishop g2, and then gradually preparing d4. Even if black prevents d4, there is a possibility just to play d3, and there will be just a normal English opening position. So everything is fine. Bishop d3 immediately, well, I'm not sure that it is good, because I just have very easy play after d5, I guess. Right? Right. So, now let's come back to normal order of challenges. Prison Mike with the first challenger today, so I accept his challenge. Let us play. c4. All right, knight f6, g3, e6. There will be Catalan or not. Let's see. d4. Yes, sure. There will be Catalan. So typical maneuver, just to force the bishop on d2, because this bishop is placed not that great on d2, breaking the coordination of white's pieces. And cd5, really. Okay, after this, we have a Carlsbad pawn structure, but with the bishop on g2, so usually black has no problems here. Moreover, my pawn is still not on c6, so I have some options, even not to play c6. So there will be a problem for white to arrange this minority attack on the queen side. So let's see how it goes. Knight goes to e4 deserves attention here. But I'm in the mood to try, I don't know, this. I do believe it is not the best. It is definitely not the best for black. But I want to try. So just b6, bishop b7, and then I will try to prepare c5 at some point. Rook c1. And let's put the knight here. Support in c5. Rook to c8 makes no sense, I guess, because of bishop h3. So let's start with the h6, just covering g5, and being ready to play bishop d6, but then knight b5. That's not that cool for me. So isn't it a time to play c5 here? I don't know. Let's try. And I have to be faster because Prison Mike usually plays very fast. I usually have serious problems with the time. What the hell is going on? Bishop b3, seriously? What is that? I don't quite understand, to be honest. Whew. There are a lot of interesting options for me now. Let's say c4 even. But let's wait a bit. Let's say bishop f8. I'm just curious what white is going to do here. So 95, alright. And then what? Knight to d7 maybe? Why not? Just trying to get rid of this knight. Oh, f4. That is something. Okay, this weakens e4 seriously. But I'm not sure there is a direct punishment, so let's just come back. By the way, even f6 was possible, I guess. Weakening everything, but it looks like it was possible from a tactical point of view. But alright, knight f6 is also good, but just control e4 square. Now it has a lot of weaknesses. Okay. Now I think it's time to do something with the center. But first, I want to make this move, just maybe preventing g4. I'm not quite sure if white wants to play g4, but this move looks normal. Just in case white wanted to do that. At the same time, this move, of course, has some drawbacks. e4. This can't be good. Let's start with this. Too many things are hanging now in white's camp. I just don't believe that e4 was correct. Oh. No, this can't be good. I just want 2 pawns. All of a sudden. And I have 2 connected passed pawns in the center now. So overwhelming position. This should be absolutely winning, of course. Queen c4, attack in f7. Okay. I just wanted to say that while it drops the rook on c1, but no. There is an attack. And d4 is hanging at the same time. So rook takes e5 maybe. F takes e5, then what? Then rook to c8. Not so clear. Not so clear. So maybe just queen d5, but then I lose my d4 pawn. That is a bit annoying. Okay, let's try this interesting line. Of course, I do believe I could have played better than this, but at the very least it looks very promising. But maybe, yeah, I just missed this simple idea. And takes on f6. I'm still a pawn up, by the way, after all this. So probably I'm fine. What happened? Why my opponent decided to resign? I'm not sure. The position is full of fight still. Of course, after bishop c5 and knight c5, black is much better. There is a threat of knight d3. It's now possible to play king f2. So let's say after this exchange, black is a pawn up and has a much better position. But come on, it was still possible to play, right? So I'm not sure that, first of all, this cd5 was a good idea. So after cd5, I guess black simply has no problems, even if black plays this pure Carlsbad structure, I mean with the c6 pawn. I decided to experiment a bit and played with the b6, but this also looks quite normal after a3 and rook e8. I guess queen c2 is not that cool, so probably it was better to start with knight e5 or maybe even to try b4. b4 is a normal idea here for sure, just fighting for c5 square, grabbing the space and so on. This maybe forces me to play something like c6. So usually there is the solution for white to try to grab the space and to wait a bit, so not to be hurry with defining the pawn structure and so on. There is also a trick, so many people think that white's position is definitely better because of that. In fact, it is not. So the position looks a bit passive for black for a long time, but it is very solid. And according to stats, within this pawn structure, with a knight on a6, preparing c5 gradually, black scores very, very well, especially nowadays. So my general impression is that actually the Carlsbad pawn structure with the bishop on g2 is not cool for white. So the normal position for this bishop is, of course, in this diagonal, so b1, h7. In this case, white has a lot of different plans. e4, bishop here actually supports the minority attack and so on. A lot of advantages of having the bishop exactly there. By the way, the typical plan in this pawn structure to prepare e4 with white with the bishop on g2 works not that fine exactly here, because in many cases white has to weaken a lot. There is also weakening on the king side already. It is the weakness of light squares and so on. So I don't believe in the power of this position from white's perspective, I mean. But still, White has a lot of solid moves here, and I think this plan with f4 is just, yeah, something awful. So knight came back to f6, bishop f2, h5. h5 wasn't necessary, of course. It was much better for me to try something concrete, maybe just to take on d4 to play bishop c5, and then to try to get to e4 as quick as possible. Maybe it was okay for me to try knight c7, followed by knight e6, just exerting pressure on d4. And e4 was a mistake already, because white is not ready for this move. It was necessary to overprotect d4, maybe to play rook to d1, and then to try to play e4, maybe. But in many cases, e4 just leads to even more weaknesses. And again, I just don't believe that white is okay here. All right, anyways, thanks for the game. Let's continue. So the next one is Mirko MNE from Montenegro. Accept. Black pieces again. e4. Okay, let's come back to e5. Knight c6, bishop b5, Ruy Lopez. Here we go. Main line, yep. And Smyslov, my typical choice. So everybody says pawn holder, please. Okay, so maybe next game will be against pawn holder, just to satisfy your demand. And I'm still more or less fresh, so yeah, maybe it's a good idea to play this game right now after this one. Sky7 asks, was that a yoga mark? Yoda mark? Yes. Sure. (92), bishop d7, just a typical development of pieces here. So yeah, knight f1, knight g3 is a programmatic maneuver here. And in this position, I usually do this. So a5, a4, followed by knight a5, then trying to play knight c4. Or to undermine the center with a c7, c5. Why not knight a5 immediately? Because there is no bishop on b3, so this move looks quite dubious. And at the same time, I want to grab some space on the queen side. Okay, a4. Usually black plays b4 here. Yeah, let's try b4. In one of my normal games in the tournament against one of the grandmasters, I played b takes a4, even as far as I remember, and I was fine. But b4 is a bit more ambitious decision. It's definitely a fighting move, so I guess it deserves attention. So now after d5, where to go with the knight? Knight to b8, probably intending to occupy a6, supporting b4 and also controlling c5 square. So let's try knight to b8. Oh, why doesn't take on b4? Creating a weakness there. That is an interesting approach. That's quite interesting. So now let's undermine this d5. Looks like a very natural idea for black, because d5 defines white's advantage in space, and black wants to grab the space back. And bishop b3, whoa. Okay, let's take on d5. So if e d5, bc3, I have very promising pawn structure. Already a better pawn structure for black, I think. So like in Najdorf, in the sense of this d6, e5, d5, but white also has a compromised pawn structure on the queen side. So I guess black should be fine here. c5 square is a good outpost for my knight. c-file in general is very good for me because I will attack c3 pawn. And on the king side at some point I can also play just g6, bishop g7, then knight f6 goes away somewhere, then f5 and so on. A lot of possibilities. But first let's try to achieve something on the queen side. Yeah, let's say this way. Just occupying c5, exerting pressure on the bishop on pawn a4. Is it something for me or not? Should be something, I guess. And now I have pair of bishops. Already sort of achievement. Very nice. And c4. Okay. So bishop on b3 is rather limited with pawns. How to use this? There are a lot of different options. Let's say queen to c7 followed by rook to b8. Looks fine. Then rook to b4 maybe. Okay, let's try one of these plans. There are a lot of, so I could have played g6, bishop g7, knight somewhere, f5, e4, and so on. Typical play. So I have a pawn majority on the king side, why not to start pushing pawns there? Moreover, those pawns are supported very well with my pair of bishops. And yeah, now I can see that probably queen c7 wasn't the best idea for me. Because now my rook feels not very comfortable on c5. While I can sacrifice the exchange, but I don't really need it, I guess. So, how to improve my mistake? Not to improve my mistake, no. How to improve my position, come on. After this mistake, that's what I mean. So queen to a7 maybe, just 94, rook somewhere. c5 looks not very good, but c5 followed by d6 is a problem for me. Okay. Let us try to sacrifice the exchange. Should be justified somehow, because I will have pair of bishops, good control over dark squares. So, should be justified. Should be just enough to compensate the exchange. Again, just the experiment. Now it's time to, well, f2 is hanging, right? Then c5. Okay, this might be a trap. So it's better to improve the positions of the pieces than grabbing this strange pawns. I want to make white's position vulnerable. Now I think can easily take on f2. Okay. And my queen remains in this perfect blockading position. All right. What about e4 now? And now let's say f4. Looks very natural. So just start pushing pawns, grabbing more and more space. Should be very annoying for white. Oh, what is that? Sacrificing the rook and intending to checkmate me on h7, maybe. Okay, let's prevent it. With this move. I mean, yeah, now it's absolutely lost. And checkmate on f1. All right. So actually, my position was already strategically winning, I think, after rook takes c5. But then I made this dubious queen c7 move, and white achieved this resource of knight e4 and so on. So queen c7 was a bad decision, of course. It was much better for me to do something like... I don't even know how to regroup my pieces the better way. Maybe it makes sense just to go away from c5 immediately, because rook does, in fact, not that much here. So maybe rook to c8 now, then queen to b6, or queen to c7. Yeah, and I have a much better coordination of my pieces. So knight e4 becomes no longer a tempo decision. So yeah, maybe rook c8 here. And for white, it was definitely much better to do two things. So the first possibility is just not to play a4, just to focus on the play on the king side, like knight g3, a4, then let's say even bishop to e3 is possible, preparing queen to d2 and so on. Or bishop to d3 is also a move here, attacking b5 after knight a5. White has a choice between playing bishop e3 or something. So there are a lot of different interesting ideas, to be honest. a4 is also playable 100% after b4, d5 here. It is interesting to try c takes b4, a takes b4, then to try to attack this weakened b4 pawn. Another idea is actually to play c4 here at this moment. Also quite typical position, double-edged. I think black has sufficient counterplay, just trying to occupy c5, but still white has more space. That is the point here. So bishop b3, I think it is the first serious positional mistake, because after cd5, there are no problems for black at all, because bishop d5 doesn't work here. I just take on d5, and after queen d5, I have pair of bishops. I have very good position. I can even consider something like bishop c6 followed by d5 immediately. I can simply continue the development with the knight c6. I can try rook to a6 here also, with the idea of putting the bishop on e6 at some point. So very rich position for black here. And after e takes d4, takes, well, black simply has a much better pawn structure. All right. Here we go. The next is Möbius, accept. White pieces. Sicilian. The next Sicilian. Oh, I wanted to play pawn holder, right? So the next will be pawn holder. I'm sorry, I just forgot about it. A6, and I think we tried almost everything here. But what didn't I play? I didn't play knight to b3 against Möbius, I think, but maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I played that. Let's try something extraordinary. Let's try to attack the dragon position. Looks a bit overambitious, I know. But I think it's possible to play this way. b5. All right. What to do now? f5. Knight d5. Or just h4 supporting g5. I don't know. There are a lot of interesting possibilities. Even going back to d4 with the knight looks interesting, but of course it's not the best one. Let's try just f5, I don't know. Looks interesting, right? But there is an interesting question of where my king goes. To the right or to the left? I'm not sure. We'll see. So my main idea is, of course, to play f6 at some point. The other question is if there are enough resources to do that. So now f5 is hidden, for example. Maybe just to play castling short. This doesn't terribly inspire me, to be honest. Maybe knight d5, g takes f5, and bishop takes h5. Well, this also looks very, very strange. And f6 right now is definitely not prepared well. Okay, let's try castling. I do believe it is not a mistake. And knight d5 now looks very promising after bishop b7. Let's occupy this monstrous position. So I want to play f6 definitely. Next move maybe even. Or knight takes e7 followed by f6. Who knows? There are a lot of ideas usually when you have the knight on d5. This provokes me actually, because I can take on c4, I can play bishop b6 then. Okay. Let us do it. What is that? I don't know. Have no idea. So now knight c7, king f8, knight e6 is possible. Or knight c7, king f8, f takes g6. Also looks enormously tempting. Okay, let's put the knight on c7 first. And then we will see. So now, how to finish this? With the knight e6. Knight e6, king goes to g8, and then what? Takes g7, king g7, f6, takes. There is nothing. Knight d4, simply knight d4. Takes. This might be losing. Oh, knight c5 is possible here. Yeah, knight c5 should be just a finish. Yeah, let's play knight c5. Wow. So many knights are there around the king, attacking everything. Yeah. And now knight e6, but which one? No. Now takes on g6, I think. Come on, it should be absolutely winning position. What am I doing? Okay, let's take on g6. I have only 1 minute. I have to be quick. My god. I can't believe it is not winning. It should be winning somehow. Let us sacrifice it, come on. I just control so many different squares, so should be just winning here. G6, no, rook F1. Just having all the pieces in the attack. Yeah, I want to play Queen F7 now. And I can't see the defense because my knights control E8 and F8 squares. What? Still not a checkmate. Oops. No. Let's start with the G6. That's important. To avoid bishop d4 trick in the end of the variation. I mean, Queen F7, King H8. Now Queen F7 works. And Queen G7. Yes. Very nice finish. Whew. That was amazing. That was amazing attack. But I think after castling, it was possible to play better with black. So first of all, bishop b7 doesn't look very good. I think, well, I'm not sure what to try here, to be honest, but maybe even e6. I'm not quite sure, but even e6 looks interesting. If I play f6, bishop f8, okay, you will have some problems with the coordination, but my attack will finish once and forever. So e6 preventing knight e5. There was also an interesting idea just to play knight g4. I think that was the best option for black. Just to sacrifice a pawn, I know, but to open up the h-file and to leave me without a light squared bishop. So if I take on g4, well, black definitely has a great compensation. So the knight goes to e5 at very least, then bishop d7, queen somewhere. You can even try to castle queenside and then take counter-attack along the h-file. So knight g4 was probably the move I was afraid of. Definitely not bishop b7. After bishop b7 and knight d5, I have just a perfect position. Right? So bishop b6, knight c7, f6, f takes g6, knight takes e7, f6. There are a lot of different threats. All of a sudden, all my pieces look very active here. And after knight c4, I think it is already there. So queen d7, maybe queen c8 was a bit better, just to avoid knight c5. Yes, maybe, I'm not sure. Still, position looks very good for white. Knight c7 here and knight c5. Here I expected actually queen takes c7 with the idea of bishop d4 next move. So bishop d4 check, king goes somewhere, then bishop takes c5. Okay, you have only two minor pieces for queen. But let's say after this and this, position looks unclear because e4 is hanging. So I expected something like this, but I also saw the possibility to make this intermediate check, knight e6, just to open up a position. F takes e6, F takes e6, and after king goes away, I take on c7. We have the same material relation, but at the same time, position of your king is already not that cool. So yeah, after I managed to play this knight c5, the rest was already more or less clear. So here, just, yeah, maybe the last chance just to take on c5. I saw something like rook f7, king here, and here I wanted to play something like queen d5, but now I see that it is not clear because of queen g4, because of simple knight e5. No, knight e5 is probably not a good idea, but let's have a look. So queen d5, creating a serious threat of rook g7, queen f7, or rook f8, and then queen f7. Let's say if you play knight to e5, can I still play rook f8? So king has to take, then the rook goes to f1 with check. You have bishop f6, probably the only defense, otherwise queen f7 checkmate. So bishop f6, and here what? Queen takes e5, right? Queen takes e5, queen g4, king h1, bishop e4, crazy position. Rook takes f6, e takes f6, takes c5 check, also not clear. Yeah, so maybe that was possible to play. Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe I have something better than queen d5 at the moment. Not quite sure. Position is quite crazy. So maybe it wasn't necessary for me to sacrifice the minor piece this way. Maybe it was better for me to start with the knight e6 check and then f takes g6. Something like that. I'm not sure. But it should be somehow winning for white. I have a feeling. I'm not sure how to do this exactly, but it should be, because I have just so great concentration of pieces against your king, right? Yeah, anyways. So now the pawn holder, right? So the pawn holder, and then come back to normal order of challenges. Where is the pawn holders challenge? Here we go. Yeah, accept. Grandmaster. And again, I'm playing black pieces. Okay, no problems. So Italian game. And with the knight on c3, it is rather 4 knights, right? Okay. Let's play this. There is a threat of knight d5, I guess. So I can try bishop g4. Bishop g4 should be a move. Knight e7 is kind of typical reaction here. g5, well, maybe I can even play g5, I'm not quite sure. So g5, knight g5 takes g5, bishop g5, rook g8, let's say. h4. Is it something for white or not? I don't know. I don't really know. Okay, let's try bishop e6. But I do believe that g5 was possible. I'm not quite sure. But bishop e6 looks a bit safer. Maybe g5 just here. Or bishop takes d5. I don't know, let's start with bishop takes d5. And what about g5 now? It all looks very dubious, I know, but without the threat of knight d5, I think the sacrifice on g5 won't be that dangerous. Yeah. But now there is a problem with the d4. So can I prevent d4? Yeah, I can play bishop b6, for example. d4 is coming, that's true. And queen a4 is coming as well. Position is dubious. So what about h4 now? h5, I mean, then h4. G4, knight goes away somewhere. Not very good. All right, let's protect my c6. Yeah, awkward position. Worse pawn structure. But there are still some chances to come up with a counterplay. Yeah, very hard. And the knight goes to c4. Yeah, very convincing. It's time. Just to make castling. Okay, white should be better here, but let's try to hold this. So now we'll have a good square on d4 at very least. So some sort of compensation for a bad pawn structure. And then I will have more chances to prepare d5, I guess. Okay, queen f3 attacking my knight. Let us protect my knight. So do I want to play d5 immediately or maybe to prepare it somehow? I'm not quite sure what do I want from this position in general. So let's try this rook a8. I want to challenge white's pawn somehow. So another rook to b8. Now I have sort of attack on b4. Knight e3 and knight goes to f5. Yeah, this might be very annoying. So let's get rid of it. It can't be good for sure. But since white's bishop is still not that active, I still have some chances. Maybe. Maybe not. So rook is going to f2, right? Yeah, it starts looking less and less good. But okay. Oh my goodness. My son is crying somewhere around. Okay. I don't know why I did that. Maybe just to simplify position a bit to reduce white's pressure on my position. Maybe for this purpose. I don't know. Okay, let's attack this a5. I don't know what to do here. And I have no time. It's very bad. Oh, this position is so hard to play with the lower time on the clock. Very annoying. Let's try to come up with some sort of counterattack. If there is a counterattack, of course. There might be nothing. Absolutely nothing. I can't see anything. Come on! I'm just lost in time, but after rook g2, I think I'm winning. Or maybe not. After d5, I think I'm lost. Or maybe, yeah, maybe I still have some chances, I don't know. d5. Where the king goes. King g6. Check. Check. King h4. Takes on f4. Yeah, it's lost. It's lost, but I was almost there. Almost there. Maybe somewhere here. I don't know. Whew. a7. Oh yes, of course. Rook takes g2. Come on, I'm so stupid. Rook takes g2 immediately wins, I guess. Queen takes h3 is a threat, and if king takes g2, then knight f4. It should be checkmate by force. Yes, it is a checkmate by force. Wow. How stupid I was. Yeah, rook takes g2. Of course, not queen g3, but rook takes g2, and I'm winning. But anyway, it was very nice game. It was very interesting fight. All right, so let's come back to normal order of challenges and play a few more games. Thanks a lot for the game. Smux 2006 is the next. Yeah, my goodness. Yeah. Oh, yeah, very pity that I missed rook takes g2. That could have been a nice win. But come on. My opponent was very tough. Very, very tough. He also probably missed some chances to get the advantage. Yeah. By the way, do you hear this? Baby's crying. That's interesting, just... yeah. Now I understand that you also hear this. That is something. Yes, of course my wife is with the baby. Oh, very nice, Smugs. By the way, you just sacrificed the exchange. Very good. Very typical sacrifice. Especially after g4, it looks very good. Okay, let's see if I can hold this position. Because I do believe black is already better. Or something. Yeah, so pawn holder, it's your fault. The baby started crying when you played e4. So never played e4 against me, okay? My son appreciates closed games. Okay. Ah. Alright, so the knight on c3 is hanging, the pawn on b7 is also hanging, so maybe I'm not that bad, actually. I have an extra exchange after all. Okay, e4. Yeah, nice resource. Grabbing my bishop. So queen takes c3, e takes f3, queen g7, bishop f6, yeah. Looks very ugly. So probably it's better for me to take on e4. Let's take on e4. Black still has a pawn to compensate the exchange in a material sense, but I think material is not what really matters here, so Black simply has much better pawn structure and good minor pieces in perspective. It should be lost for white long term, so I have to come up with some tricks. I don't even know with which ones. Let's grab the pawn on b7 for the sake of the show. Show must go on. Bishop b3. Why? I don't understand this decision at all. Okay. Okay. What is going on? Okay. So now I'm just an exchange up. And my pawn structure improved dramatically. Yes, bishop b3 was absolutely wrong. Absolutely. I mean, no doubts. So knight g4 is this threat, right? Let us protect it. Yeah, now I should win. Now I should win this position. It was very close. It was very close, Smugs. So bishop b3. Never give up your bishops. Even the worst bishop is better than the knight. That is an old joke. Old joke. h6. Okay, now I think it's time to occupy the open file with the rook, creating an obvious threat of just going away with the bishop, let's say to a7, attacking the queen and grabbing the bishop e7 next move. And now I have an extra rook, right? Right. Queen c3, alright. h3 is hanging. Let us protect it. Yeah. It was very close. It was very close. I think bishop takes b7 was a mistake. The decisive one. Well, not decisive one, of course, but very, very serious one, because after queen takes b7, look, you have pair of great bishops. My knight on b3 is just a piece of crap. So you should have played something else, definitely. Maybe just to grab the pawn on g4 with your bishop. Maybe to put your knight on this perfect e5 position. Also looked very, very nice. There are a lot of different ways, I think, for black. Because white position looks so loosey. A lot of weaknesses, a lot of spots to occupy with your minor pieces. My rooks are not coordinated. There are no objects of attack from my rooks, and so on. So this is just so bad. At very least, you have the idea of playing f5, just undermining my g4 pawn, then get into this desired f3 square, and so on. But I do believe if I play h3 or something, protecting g4 here, you can try d5, let's say. Just close in diagonal for my queen. Now knight f3 is a threat, and so on. Come on. I can't just look at this position without tears in my eyes, to be honest. So it's just looking so bad. Of course, I made a mistake giving you a chance to take on c3. That's for sure. So g4 is just very, very bad. Instead, I should have played something normal, maybe bishop f3, just protecting e4. But to start with, I just played bishop g5, then bishop to e3, so I lost so much time. Could not backfire it, I think. So rook c3 was just absolutely correct. All right, fuchsia, accept. So, Ruy Lopez. Let's play this exchanged variation. I usually do this when I play Blitz. Okay. So bishop d6 should be absolutely normal way of playing this position, but of course it is not the most popular line. What about d4? E d4, queen d4, so what? What do I achieve? I don't know, but let's try it. This gives up a bishop by force. So d takes e5, bishop f3, queen f3, bishop e5. Okay. I'm not against. Oh, this just drops the bishop. Yeah, just a blunder. Serious one. I'm sorry, but it is already lost, of course. Just an extra minor piece for nothing. Let us simplify. So my plan is just to exchange everything here, but alright. There are also some interesting possibilities. So knight h5, I want to take on f6 and to be a rook up. And now I think the bishop c4 lacks the space, so I can trap this guy. Yep. So I think after bishop d6 and d4, it's better to take on d4 first of all. Here we go. Yeah, d4. I think ed4 should be played here. So queen takes d4 and something like f6 should be playable, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah, because bishop g4 gives me a chance to exchange the bishop for the knight. It was the only way to do that, just to take on f3. Queen takes f3 and bishop takes e5, after which I actually simply have much better pawn structure. I have the pawn majority on the king side, 4 against 3, while black has also 4 against 3, but these 4 are damaged. And the only compensation is usually pair of bishops. Here, as we can see, after I managed to exchange the bishop for the knight, black simply has no compensation for this strategic drawback. That's why I don't like bishop g4 move. And of course, bishop e5 is just a decisive mistake. I just take on d8 and take on e5. I have extra minor piece and no chances for black, of course. All right, let's play Sky 7-1. And white pieces again. And Rui Lopez again. d6, Stanitz. Oh, great. What is my favorite way to react to Stanitz? c3, I think. All right, f6 is a playable move for sure. But what about queen b3 here? Is it something? I don't remember the theory here, but I know that queen b3 is sort of annoying maneuver to deal with. So let's try it. Queen to b3. f6 looks ugly, but it is very good move from a strategic point of view. I mean, it overprotects e5. So it's quite typical for Stanitz defense, by the way, but I'm not sure that black can do this right away. I mean, exactly in this position. That might be a problem. So now I can take on c6, by the way. If bishop takes, then d5 and takes b7. If bc6, then queen b7. Something like this might be annoying. d5 immediately is also an interesting idea, I guess. Or maybe I can start with castling. Castling looks also quite playable and quite good. Let's do it. All right, now I have to take. Well, I can go away, of course, but I think taking on c6 is just fine. And just d5. winning the pawn at the very least. Maybe two. No, only one. But okay, one pawn is also an achievement, right? So to go away with the queen or not? Yeah, let's go away because there is a threat of rook b8, rook a8, kind of perpetual. So queen b3. Let's take it. Extra pawn is extra pawn after all. And the less pieces we have on the board, the less chances my opponent has for a counterplay. I'll take it with the knight. Looks a good idea. I think after this game I will play one more and we'll just go and help my wife to do something with my son, because he's crying and crying and crying and there is no end. Alright. So how to win this game? Just to attack d6, I think. Knight b6 looks great. So, in addition to having extra pawn, I have the advantage in development. And I'm going to use it. Now I have two pawns, right? Yeah, 2 pawns. e4. Well, where to go? To d4 or h4? Both look very nice. I'll try h4 square to get to g6. A very nice joke. So my son is CM, but not candidate master, rather a crying master. That's true, absolutely. He's a crying grandmaster. I would even say super grandmaster. Of course, not a world champion, but yeah. Something around 2800s rated, I do believe. Okay, I have 3 pawns, right? Yes. I have 3 pawns. That is very good. So maybe to grab this one on e4, in addition to the others, might be not a bad idea. So let's try to do that. Oh, I have less than 1 minute. That's why my opponent is still playing, I guess. I have to focus on the game. Oh my goodness. Thanks God I've just noticed it, because I was very close to forget about the time at all. Come on. For this sort of conversion, I think 30 seconds are just enough. So I will just eliminate all the pawns, just to make it a draw at the very least. And now let's say queen here. And checkmate. All right. So first, I'm not sure that f6 was correct. I'm not sure that f6 is a playable move in this concrete position. Because after queen b3, it is very hard to find a good move, because there is a problem with the b7 pawn, with the e6 square, a lot of different problems. So probably it was still okay to play something like rook b8 here. But then you have to understand that there is a possibility of playing something like bishop c4 at some point, and so on. And still d5 looks very annoying after rook b8. Let's say d5, knight a5, say queen to a4. All these things are typical for Stanis. Sometimes white does that after castling, so c3 followed by queen b3. There is also a possibility to play bishop d7 first, queen d7, and let's say queen to b4 attacking this knight. So you play b6, for example, but look at your bishop on f8, so it's very bad. So I can just castle and then play positionally like c4, knight c3, and so on. So I have more space, I have better minor pieces, so everything is much better for white here. So after queen e7 and castles, everything remains the same. So same problems with the d5 mainly. But a6, well, probably a playable move, but after bishop c6 was definitely a mistake. B takes c6, you should have played this move. And after queen b7, you still have queen d8, and position is playable. But here I think I benefit from a better development. But your position in the center is very solid, so it makes it playable. So that was probably the way of dealing with the problems here. Bishop c6 was definitely a mistake. After that, I just have extra material for no compensation at all. All right. So let's play the last game today. I think it will be fair to play Omoy Kane. So the next challenger. Yep. High rated. So let's try it. And again with white. Well, I'm quite lucky today. So let's try this, c4. So tired. I'm so tired. But okay. So the only drawback behind this bishop g7 is that d6 lacks the defense. So I'm going to try to exert some pressure as fast as possible. That's why I just put my rook on d1, not on c1. Usually it goes to c1. I just want to attack d6. That's my idea. So what will happen if I play knight f3, attacking d6? Let us see. Knight goes to f8. But then I can even try bishop to a3, attacking d6 additionally. That is the point. And after knight f8, by the way, I have e5. Also interesting resource. So if I'm not mistaken, Black should be in trouble already. Okay, so to knight c5. What about b4? The knight goes back and c4 is heading, so maybe e5 is better than b4. Maybe e5 and then b4, I don't know. e5, where the knight goes, probably e8, and then b4. And then knight to e4. Or just takes on d6. This looks interesting. So let's try. Should be fine. At least it should be fun. Right? So b4. Knight to b7. And now d takes e5 is this red. Yeah, I just underestimated this move. That's my fault. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That is annoying. Yeah, my opponent just provoked me. And now I'm trapped. Okay, so how to protect all this crap that is heading? c4 is heading, e5 is heading, everything is heading. I have no idea. Okay, let's protect c4 at very least. Looks like just a healthy extra pawn for black. I have some tiny compensation because of the better development, but I can't really use it. Yeah. b4 was definitely wrong, so I should have played knight to e4. Why didn't I play that? I have no idea. But okay, I played what I played. And now my position looks bad. All right. Let's try to come up with some tricks. My opponent is prepared for this cheap tricks. So maybe to get use of this c6 square, but it looks very, very bad for me. But it is at least something. At least some hope for counterplay, I don't know. So now if this b6 looks a bit weakened, so I have some ideas like knight to a4, then maybe queen to e3, attacking that pawn. Still, everything looks very, very bad for white. But maybe I will manage. Maybe. Let's see. So I have to take this. Now let's say knight takes e5. Or knight to a4 first. Knight to a4, attacking b6, I guess. And attacking e5 one more time. I'm not sure that's it was the best way for black to play. I mean, this bishop d7. Because now I definitely have some counterplay, and I have a feeling that I just win the pawn back to start with. But this resource, my goodness. So I blundered one more time, or what is going on? I think I have to play knight e5. Of course, I could have captured e4, but then bishop b2 and knight c5. And now queen takes e4, right? Right. Oh, he's crying again. He doesn't like my position or the way I play, I don't know. What's wrong now? Because now it looks not that bad, if compared to the beginning. Whew. Yeah. 97, is it possible? Sort of blunder, right? So the queen and the rook are attacked simultaneously. Oh my goodness. Yep. Not that simple, by the way. Oh, I blundered the pawn on b5, especially after this. It is not that simple. f2 is also hanging. But alright, f2 is not that important, I guess. It's definitely not that important. And now I have this great pass pawn. But I have to be really quick. Extra rook. One more pass pawn. Should be queen very soon. All right. Queen. Should be checkmate very soon. Where to put this? Oh, why did I do this? But okay. Yeah. Alright, that was very nervous game. My baby's crying, so definitely the opening stage deserved this crying because I played like a patter. So I actually did everything correctly. I mean, I started attacking this pawn on d6, and it was very tempting to play e5, honestly. But then I mixed something up, I think. So after 98, definitely if white wants to achieve something, then it's necessary to find something here. So maybe 94 immediately, but then I'm afraid that black can simply take. Black can simply take on e4, bishop takes e4, and play bishop b7. Yeah, in which case I have just the wrong piece on d2. Just if I could have changed the positions of the rook d1 and queen d2, everything could have been fine because of d6 hanging. But here, well, maybe white has a tiny advantage still. Just taking on b7, queen b7, and then I don't know. But looks like an equal position. I don't know. Maybe e5 gives me nothing, actually. Maybe e5 is not in time. Maybe queen f4 was better, or queen g5 even, exerting some pressure on knight f6. Maybe to start with b4 here, because this more or less forces black to play knight b7, because I don't think that knight d7 is a good idea. But knight d7 could be also a move. Not quite sure. Okay. Don't know. Yeah, complicated position. But after e5, of course, knight e8 and b4, well, I have problems. I just have problems with this pawn e5. I can't really regain the material balance quickly, so I decided to play this on b5 just to make position not that clear. And I have a feeling that black could have even played something like f5 followed by e4 immediately and protecting the pawn, grabbing the space and having good position. I do believe that black is just a guy here because, well, only bishop d7 gives me actually a chance to regain the pawn. Only this move. Maybe it still was possible to play f5 here, to consider it at least, intending to play e4. But I have some compensation, some sort of compensation, especially in Blitz, but, well, to be honest, in general, position is, of course, should be better for black. All right, anyways, thanks for this session today. As far as I remember, I lost only one game to pawn holder, and I was very close to winning, so not that bad for me. But still, almost all of the games were quite nervous, quite challenging, so thanks a lot for this experience. So you actually forced me to play my best. Well, sometimes I fail to play my best, of course, sometimes I'm distracted, yeah, for natural reasons, but still, I try at least, and it is also interesting for me, not only for you, I guess. See you premium members this coming Tuesday during the next episode dedicated to the good timing, and all others, well, wish you a great weekend, premium users as well, of course, and see you next Friday. Take care, bye bye.